Okay, another follow-up video with I've got a professional studio out the back, and I am going to make a video. Like I'm gonna do something with my amazing Lithuanian colleague in the cabin. But I'm just gonna follow up with this. Right, there was a few things I left out, and that's what happens when content creators do spontaneous, like videos. So I left out a few things. So the published article I'm most proud of was in a magazine, and John Waters would know this and verify this. There was a magazine in Dublin in the 80s and 90s called In Dublin Magazine, and I got a short story published in that called Games Across the Water, and it was about the Cheltenham Gold Cup. I had first-hand testimony from women that were kind of trafficked, like the Super Bowl. It was like a mini version of the Super Bowl. When all the Irish hit Cheltenham for the Gold Cup, the women, many women, especially MK Ultra, traumatized sex slaves, were activated. And so I wrote a short story about that. And sadly, I sent the original version to one of the women that I based the story on, her personal testimony, and I never got it back. And the editor of In Dublin magazine back then was called Fergal or Fergus, I can't remember his name, but John Waters would know. And it was my short story published, and it was one of my greatest achievements, I felt. So I missed that out. The other thing I missed out was the Kenya project. I had a neighbour who I love dearly. She's not a neighbour anymore. She's moved, she only moved down the road. But she always had a passion for Africa and orphanages. So I followed her request and started a charity to raise money for an orphanage in Kenya. And herself and myself and three other volunteers, we raised 11,500, something like that. We gave 10,000 plus to the orphanage. We gave 1,000 to the local soccer club, and we managed to run the whole thing on about 11%, expenses. So when you had to get licenses and, all the rest of it, but it was amazing. We charity soccer matches. I think the favourite part of that for me was we ran a raffle with a prize of a day with the ambulance service, a day with An Garda Síochána and Kells, or a day with the fire brigade. And the youngsters were so excited about that raffle, And I think that the ambulance service prize turned into 2 days. The guards didn't quite know what to do with somebody coming to see a day in the life of Kells Garda barracks. But anyway, that was exciting. And the Canadians got involved. I don't know how. My mother was she was an honorary member of the Irish Canadian Association, whatever. And when I was caring for her, I used to take her for Thanksgiving dinners with the ambassador, and he was a Jesuit. His name was what is it you call it, Lola? Anyway, and this is why I don't know if I've got onset dementia, because I can't remember names. But anyway, this Canadian ambassador, he participated in the Kenya project, and he came to Tommy Farrelly's, and we did some great stuff. We published a book in and around Oldcastle, following in my mother's footsteps, we produced a CD of local musicians' talent, which was phenomenal. We had charity soccer matches, which was so funny, so funny. We established we established Oldcastle United ladies soccer team or something like. It was like geriatrics. I fucking messed up my shoulder big time by playing goalkeeper on that team. I was pretty spectacular, but I really effed up my shoulders. So yeah, the Kenya project, we raised 11.5 grand. We sent 10 grand to Kenya, which Hoaxdead Research totally and utterly destroyed, and we gave 1,000 to the local soccer club, and we spent 11% of the funds raised on costs. I talked about in Dublin magazine, the Kenya project. There was something else I want to mention. But there again, it's gone out of my brain. Yeah, I'm getting trolled again. And I've got the stalker threatening all sorts. I'm not scared anymore. I'm not scared anymore. I did say to the superintendent at Mullingar that if they didn't do something about the stalker, and they've got adequate laws to do something, the Irish stalking laws and the new Helen McEntee introduced it. Anyway, there's a new law as well. I'll make a video about that. But I did say, if you don't do something, I'm going to go public again, And so they haven't. Well, I don't think they've done anything, And meanwhile, the stalker is playing victim. It's just crazy. It's crazy shit. But the first sort of prophecy I got before I left America in 1989, late, like December or something, was Ruth 3:11. And the Amplified Bible version says, "And now, my daughter, do not fear, for I will do for you the things that you have asked, for all the townspeople know that you are indeed an excellent and a virtuous woman of noble character." And I know that if somebody like Tara McMahon, aka Tara Weston, had been set on me, say in an urban setting, say like Manchester or Birmingham or whatever, my house could have been burned to the ground and I could have been lynched. Like there was somebody targeted because people got mixed up between the terms paediatrician and paedophile. So if it hadn't been for the fact that I have sowed into my community since 1981, this woman could have got me killed. And she does, it's so satanic, she does complete reversal. I'm trying to get her killed. I'm trying to get her suicide trolled. I'm trying to get her children confiscated. I have never, ever in my life reported anybody to Tusla or to the dole, like the DPP. It's just old-fashioned. It's just, you just don't do that. Unlike Rose Sheridan, that, she was an ex-social worker. She moved onto our estate. She had 100 grand in the bank from having sold her property in the UK, but somehow she got a council bungalow, and then she proceeded to report every single parent that had a boyfriend staying more than 2 nights a week, every person that was doing a little, a little cleaning job on the side or whatever. She created absolute havoc. And then she got evicted, but somehow then she got a Vincent de Paul home for the, aged. It's, anyway, infiltrators. So I'm not backing down, but I'll probably have to be on red alert because this woman has threatened to park a tent in the middle of the green, and live stream for 24 hours, threatened to get me a citizen arrested, threatened to break into my home and seize my devices. Like I was given advice by the Gardaí, and I've abided by that for about 2 months now, which is don't engage with her, block her on every platform, dial 999 if she turns up. I've done that, but like the last 999 call I made got answered by Brendan O'Shea, who needs a good slap, metaphorically speaking, for the way he engaged with me. Oh, what can we do for you now, Angela? It's like, and I'm like, I don't want to waste your time calling you out here for what is either an insane woman or a paid asset. And I never, ever, ever called her parents paedophiles. I simply raised questions about the Cavan Centre, which is a holiday home for underprivileged children associated with Kilnacrot Abbey, where there was a huge paedophile ring disclosed. And when Tara said on her live streams that she and her schizophrenic son volunteered at the Cavan Centre, I'm just wondering if they were Garda vetted. I've been there. I applied for a job there, and it was like, oh my God, get away from us. This is closed shop. So I'm going to do a blog, and I was embarrassed yesterday because I showed my stair lift. That's how crippled I am at the moment. And I will give kudos to Johnny Girk, TD, Sinn Féin. Oh, that's the other thing I was going to share, right. Okay. Johnny Girk helped me get my stair lift. Meath County Council gave me a 95% grant. And they've sent me another grant form to deal with the plumbing emergency. But the problem with grants is it's a bit like the derelict housing grant. You have to pay up front and then claim it in retrospect. And it's no wonder there's only fucking Brits and, nobody's claimed. I think there were only 13 people claimed the derelict housing grant because you have to pay the 70,000 up front and then claim it back. And it's the same with disability grants. I had to pay thousands up front for that stair lift, and I had to wait 13 weeks for the VAT to be refunded in order to get the 95% grant. So it's like, it's just, it's white noise by the government. So, it's like, oh, look at us, we're giving grants to the disabled, and we're giving derelict house grants and blah, blah, blah. But when you actually go into it, it's a load of bollocks, or it's a very convoluted procedure. But that's the other thing. I think this might be everything, is that when I came home, in 1980, well, I suppose I was at university when my parents moved here in 81. And then I went and lived in Spain for a year. And then I was in a band in Brixton. And then I came home, I suppose 1983. But I still had that expatriate affinity with Irish nationalism and patriotism. And I thought Sinn Féin were the bee's knees. So when I came home, I joined the Cumann. That's what they call it. It's like a local faction. And that included, I went canvassing door to door with my British accent, and I went to dinner parties with Joe O'Reilly and all the rest of them at the Darnsley Lodge in Athboy. You know, we had the likes of Jerry Adams and Martin McGuinness and different ones called to the door. I met Bertie Ahern down in the Cayley House. Like, that was back in the day when politicians dared to call to your door or hold an open forum in the Cayley House. Now they daren't. They daren't. They just stick fucking leaflets through your door and somehow they get voted back in. Like Simon Harris reminds me of Ryan Tubridy, reminds me of Emmanuel Macron, reminds me of what's the one in England? The uncle of Nilu, Sunny. Anyway, I can't remember. It's like this whole Napoleonic. It's crazy. It's crazy. But anyway, I volunteered with Sinn Féin for a few years. But that's the thing about learning too much, is when you do your research, I found out that the provos were working with MI5 and were organising paedophile holidays for British politicians, including, well, not just politicians, including Earl Mountbatten. Oh, come to Belfast. We'll get you little rent boys, as they called them, from King Cora Children's Home, you know, and you can photograph them and film them. And like, Jeffrey Epstein's not the only one. He's just a cutout. He's just a cutout. And I was horrified when I discovered that Mary Lou McDonald participated in covering up child abuse. Like, the IRA used to say, the provos, like my great uncle Gerard Maher from the Glen of Ahelo, he was a proud original freedom fighter, you know, 1916 and all that. But the provos, the modern version, they were working with MI5. And if anybody went to them and said, like Jerry Adams' niece did, my dad is raping me, oh, don't tell anybody, we'll deal with this internally. You know? It's like, what the fuck? And Mary Lou McDonald participated in that. You know, if I'm not going to die. In Jesus' name, I'm not going to die before my time. Right? I've had enough persecution up the kazoo. You can't touch me unless Jesus allows you to. But it's part of like watching your heroes die, is when I discovered that Sinn Féin was not the romantic thing that most expatriate Irish believed it to be, you know. And there's probably more. It's like I'm just on a truth-spilling roll, you know. But I don't want to end on a bad note. Like, I do love some of the memories that I have of the voluntary work. And this is the thing that saved me. Like I said, if a stalker like Tara McMahon had done to me what she has done in somewhere where I wasn't known, she could have got me killed. And she's inverting it and saying I'm trying to get her killed. Rubbish, right? But you reap what you sow. And if you sow into your community will know you. Even if there's blow-ins, right? I still think I'm a blow-in, and that's since 1981, with a funny English accent, right? But if you sow into your community, you will reap good rewards. There's more I could say, but it's like, I talked about Sinn Féin. I talked about in Dublin magazine. What was the other thing? The Kenya Project. I talked about that. We raised thousands Hoaxstead research destroyed that. I suppose you could say if you're getting pushback, you're over the target. All right. God bless. I kind of miss the robin. Some people know that robins nest in my garden every year, but one came into the house and it parked itself on that bookshelf, and then it went over to that bookshelf. I didn't know what to do, and then it went into the toilet where Ruby, and I was like, in the end I put Ruby in the car because I didn't want her to hurt the robin. But anyway, God bless people. Please share, please pray, please pray.